But right now, here to talk about the impact of the lapse in SNAP coverage is Dare to Care President and CEO Vincent James. Vincent, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Blakely.
So we know 41 million people across the country. We've got over 1 million people in Kentucky and Indiana residents that rely on SNAP. Here we are, November 1st.
Right.
Funding for it has run out. What's your reaction? What are your emotions today?
You know, it's really challenging. It's been a challenging year to begin with. But to realize that people are waking up today, no benefits, and not knowing where to go to get food.
Yeah.
That's what actually keeps me up at night.
Sure.
Thinking about families, children, seniors that are literally waking up and saying, I don't even have access to food.
Yeah.
And so that's the really challenging part, to be able to think about them and realize that all the numbers and statistics that we hear, there's a neighbor behind that number.
Sure.
And really thinking about them, what is it that we have to do? And that's where Dare to Care is really focused on.
We're sort of in a limbo right now, right? Because funding ran out, but then there was the federal rulings from the judges that came down yesterday saying that contingency funds needed to go towards either partially or fully funding SNAP benefits. Just to give people some numbers here, I mean, $8 billion a month to fund SNAP nationally. Some of these contingency funds, one of them has $5 billion, one of them has $23 billion. But again, it's not clear that this is going to be partial funding, how much. So what's your understanding of what these contingency funds are and how they would or would not impact people?
Well, that's a great question. One of the things we realize is it's a really fluid situation right now.
Yeah.
You know, we're learning real time in terms of what that really means. And so really our focus is on, we want SNAP to be fully funded so families are not doing without. You know, until we hear that clearance that it's fully funded and families know that they have access and resources to food, we're not resting. Sure. And even then we're not resting.
Has SNAP benefits ever been in jeopardy like it is right now?
Not like it is now. I think in the 50-year history of Dare to Care, we have not seen or experienced anything remotely close to this as it relates to SNAP benefits. This is even more challenging than during the Great Recession and the pandemic. And so what we're seeing now is something we haven't seen before in 50+ years of serving our neighbors in our community. And
I guess with no ends in sight to the government shutdown, this is sort of a temporary or Band-Aid fix if it in fact does go through the partial or fully funding.
Right, absolutely. You know, one of the things is that food insecurity was here before the shutdown and before what we're seeing now in terms of SNAP benefits. And so we've been working 50+ years to end hunger. Sure. But this is exacerbating everything that we're seeing in the community around. Our neighbors are really struggling because the average typical person will purchase all of their food the first 2 weeks of the month and living on that for the entire month. So by the end of the month, they have no benefits. They're waiting on it to be reloaded in terms of their benefits. And so what we're seeing now is people actually experiencing real challenges and not having anything in their cupboard.
Yeah. And sort of a double-edged sword right now, too, with the government shutdown. You're seeing even more people need access to these benefits and now less supply to them.
Yes. Earlier in March, we had received a notice that our CCC funding was going to be cut. So all of those orders were cut in March. And so it wouldn't really impact us until now. So we have less food. We're now down 800,000 pounds from federal commodities, along with a higher demand, the highest we've seen in terms of food insecurity in the history of Dare to Care.
So if people are hearing this and they want to help Vincent, I know there's some events happening today where people can donate, but really what you guys ask is for monetary donations. Those go a lot farther than food donations.
Absolutely. One of the things we've seen and know is that, for instance, if you were to purchase a can of soup, it's going to cost you $1.09. We can actually provide and make 2 meals for each dollar that's donated. On top of that, it's actually going to cost an extra 20 cents in labor costs for us to sort it and put it together and then resend it out. And so $1 goes much further with Dare to Care because of the volume we're able to purchase the food. And then we have a network that we've been working for over 50 years to establish to get food out, distributed quickly.
All right. Thank you so much, Vincent, for coming in with us this morning. We'll, of course, be keeping in touch with you and following what happens from here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Blakely.
Thank you.